Part 24, Driving Business.
Back again in this second session. We are blessed to be with Professor OGENGA LATIGO Morris, a citizen we cannot fail to listen to, especially sharing with us experiences, sharing with us comparative policy advantages from other countries, and also looking at the actual point of how best we can be able to boost our agro-based economy. And as one of the solutions to end the inflation, we continue to, with our discussion, Professor, where we had reached, and I had liked one of the points you had reached at, especially looking at Denmark. I was saying this in our break, that these are what we are referring as European. They have the same blood. It is red to red. They have the same brain. We don't go to look for their brain even if we're able to do a biological surgery. It's the same brain like ours. God created us the same way. Why is that our country, Uganda, much as we have come up with policies, but we are not adjusting faster to come out from politicizing programs, whether opposition or ruling party, all of us will come as citizens and say, where we have had it wrong, let's accept we have had it wrong. Where we have achieved it, we give credit. But yet what we are missing, we don't want to crawl, we want to fly. Please, Professor, we can continue from there.
Yes. You know, that framework that government put money and had very clear programs, the one I was talking to you about in Malaysia.
Yes, sir.
It was about having palm oil or rubber.
Palm oil.
Yes.
It was their major enterprising crop.
Oh, yes. And what they did was they would give you money, they would help prepare the land, and then based on how well you produce, the loan that you are given.
Professor, continue. I want to recall which product you are majoring in northern Uganda. I like your farm.
Well, I grow rice.
Rice, thank you. Continue, sir.
I'm a rice grower.
Yes, continue, sir.
So, to encourage people, if you did so well, and you paid back your loan within a certain period of time, government discounts your loan payment and gives you back the money. And so people then started working to make sure they pay back their loans, but in the process, they would listen to the experts on how best to maximize their income and apply it so well.
That's the Malaysian model.
Yes.
Yes.
And by a certain period, by the time we went to Malaysia, virtually the entire Malay population had been economically secure. And Malaysia was transforming.
And Singapore.
Yes. And then what they did was they said, look, our oil, we will not export them. We'll use them and use it to develop our industry. But we also want like at least 50% of our rice to be grown locally. And you know what they were doing? They would come to the rural farmer who has 3 acres, and they pay the farmer for his land and consolidate the land and give it to a LATIGO who can mechanize and give LATIGO appropriate agricultural credits to develop that into a major and efficient production unit.
Production unit, yes.
So here we have this problem. I've seen the president bringing in so many programs supposedly to address rural poverty.
Rural poverty, including the parish model and others.
Yes, but rural poverty,
parish development model, yes.
The elements involved are far bigger than just money.
Yeah.
And more importantly, for the rural people to move, it is like a train. Most of those are wagons. They need engines.
So what exactly should that be? Because the president...
If you leave out a LATIGO who can be the example and the teacher and the absorber of produce from the community, and you give the local people money, and you don't give LATIGO money to expand this commercial agriculture. In the end, you have many wagons without the train engine. That train will not move anywhere. Professor,
it is a critical point. At first, I was implementing National Agriculture Advisory Services in 2007, then also part of 2004, until I left civil service, local government. And we had that part of the concept you are bringing forward to identify those who are model farmers. And model farmers, but there was serious grievance and complaint among the other ones which you are calling peasants. Say, now if the rich are the ones who are being given money, and maybe to be modeled to us, when are we going also to touch the agricultural inputs? Because by that time, for us, we're not distributing. There is this parish development model. They are also giving money through circles. Then there is also youth livelihood program. So how can we bridge that inequality?
The missing link was that I don't need to be given free money.
I understand you, sir.
What I need to be given is an opportunity to borrow long term. Because agriculture is not a one-off thing. If I buy land, I have to clear the trees.
Yes.
I have to learn the environment in that place. That means my investment for the next 5 years may not bring the returns I need. But if I, as we do now, go and just borrow money, which is short term, 6 months,
from Equity Bank,
6 months, 26% interest,
yes,
I will not survive.
I tried it and I failed.
Yes, you will not survive.
Yes.
So, in many countries, India, Egypt, all those countries, Malaysia, they have agricultural bank.
Agricultural bank.
And the agricultural bank would be like the IDA wing of the World Bank that gives very low interest, long-term credit.
And long-term credit.
And that allows those who borrow to develop. And all you need to do is make sure that the borrower uses the money.
I'm learning from you. Yes. From there you identify the likes of Professor LATIGO. I'm not only meaning professors, please, dear viewers, understand us. We are meaning those who are ready to be active farmers, and they are ready to walk the talk of going into agriculture as a commercial, and also, as a commercial activity, but again, be able to know that land is available to you, and then we know that maybe in the Kampala, or we talk about Mpigi, we have 100 farmers, and we have allocated them land. They have the agricultural loan. Yes, sir.
In Uganda, you don't even need to allocate people land because people have land.
They have land.
Ugandans, most of the land in Uganda is.
What about the land race? We have also the land race, sir.
No, look.
Yes, sir.
I am an ecologist.
Yes, sir.
And in ecology, if you see insects behaving in a certain manner, they seem to fly in a certain number and then to disappear. In ecology, what we do is we do what we call key factor analysis. And then the principle is that for all the pattern that you see, there could be 100 factors influencing, but of the 100, only 2 or 3 are important. Once you have identified those 2 or 3 and you have dealt with it, then the secondary ones become important. Now, what we are trying to do is just carry everything.
Carry everything.
It is not possible, it is not rational, it is not sustainable.
We must know what we want.
What are the key factors that we need to deal with?
Yes, sir.
For a commercial farmer, low interest credit. Don't give him money. Give him a bank where he can go.
A bank where he can go.
The bankers will come and do objective evaluation of the fellow.
I hope the viewers, policymakers, you are following us, because this is free advice.
And based on that objective evaluation, because the loan officer will pay a price if LATIGO fails.
Very much.
So you can see the interconnectedness. I
remember, sir, I'm giving the backup of what you said.
Yes.
Loan officers, if they are not collecting the returns,
yes.
They are always they penalize them,
yes,
and they no longer get
they no longer
get.
They cannot progress.
And that's why Professor is advising the government, is advising us, the stakeholders, and the bankers. But this is not an issue of bankers, to adopt a policy recommendation that I have been also partly advocating for, to have an agricultural bank,
yes.
which will have low interest rate,
yes.
and also
provide long-term credit.
And provide long-term credit.
Yes.
And again, also what I was recalling you saying, there should also be insurance,
yes.
so that when we don't have people who are fearing to go to agriculture.
No, once you are assured that the money you have, you can farm for 3 or 4 years.
Yes, sir.
The next thing you want to do is to secure that investment. And an agricultural insurance scheme would become very attractive even to you. And if government wants it to grow, what it can do is to say, if you take an agricultural insurance for a crop that has been determined to be well prepared, well planted, and you are doing the right agriculture, government will give you rebate on that insurance and give you back your money.
Thank you, sir.
Now, that will, I will now struggle for government to come and see me having planted properly in rows,
yes.
so that I can get that rebate.
Like how you are, yes.
In the process,
yes, sir.
Having planted at the right planting density, you get very good yields. And even when you sell at half the current market price, you still make money. And then the food inflation comes down. And then the civil servant can now buy cheap food.
Yes.
And save and invest.
So you are buying cheap food. We are talking about production, dear viewers.
Yes.
If the factors, for us properly, if the factors of production are favorable, and of which must be streamlined by also the arm of the government, and the citizens knows what to do, and they are producing much, we will not suffer with the high, these inflated prices. Before we begin to complain of fuel, we'll be sure that you have what to eat, whether the bread goes at whatever price, but you have what to eat. That is a great view, and from there, Professor, I would like to bring this to your attention and to the viewers. The government intervention or bringing around us enabling factors, especially for agro-industry and value chain. There has been an inspiration and a motivation by the Minister of Finance, Economic Planning and Development, by referring farmers to go to the UDB, Uganda Development Bank, and maybe get 100 million, buy the tractors, because there's an agricultural mechanization, and then they be able to stimulate or to boost the agriculture. And again,
Joseph, let me tell you this.
Yes, sir.
I am not just a farmer. I am a old professor in agriculture.
I understand you, sir.
I tried to borrow money this last season from commercial banks and failed.
It's true. It's true. I agree.
Now, if LATIGO, with everything
you have the land, you don't have your capital, you are just adding.
And I told the banks, I said, there is no bigger security for your loan than the knowledge and interest that I hold. But that is not a parameter for borrowing from you.
For borrowing from you,
so
yes.
They don't give me the money.
They don't give you the money.
No.
But why?
An agricultural bank in that year, when one of the recommendations in 1898
yes,
that we made towards rural transformation was that the government should consider establishing what I then called the Bank for Integrated Rural Development. That bank will lend to agriculture. It will lend to an agro-processor who is investing in the village. It will lend to somebody starting a school, so that the kids of The farmer also go to good schools in the village. It will lend to somebody who wants to start health center. That would be a bank for integrated rural development. And it would have, because unless you integrate your intervention and make it sustainable, it will not work. India and China, just look at what happened. India used to get food because of food shortages.
Yes.
They did. Once they started producing enough food, there was no need for people to hang around producing, spending their life producing just to eat. They were forced out of subsistence. But as you force them out of subsistence, because the economy was rapidly growing, there were opportunities, even if you didn't go to school, to go and work in the construction industry and things like that. And eventually, the good schools allowed your children to get educated, to become skilled, and to join these other children. This is how it should be. China did the same thing. They invested in transforming Chinese agriculture.
Chinese agriculture.
And when they did that, they were then able to move many brilliant people. There's no point leaving a brilliant person in the village to produce food to eat. That brilliance should be used to create change in society.
To create change in the society. Professor, we are having some minutes to go, and you still have the opportunity to share knowledge and information. We said to dear viewers that on Smart TV, 24 TV, we want to have a better Uganda, not a bitter Uganda. Prices of commodities, they have skyrocketed. And we are looking at what exactly might have caused this scenario. And I'm aware of that in order an economy to be stable, there are other factors that must be favoring such a kind of environment talked about, support the growth of the economy. And land is a natural part of, it's a natural resource, because all should be supporting one another. And looks to be Uganda, we have talked about oil and gas for so long. The projection of oil and gas, especially oil, I'm talking of petroleum.
Yeah.
I'm talking of petroleum. And there have been a number of controversies, but also maybe some successes that the government can talk about.
Yeah.
And suppose we had that resolved the challenge. I hope even the question of debate, where we are suffering with oil that we must export from elsewhere, wouldn't be here. And I'm a bit, whether I say ambitious, I say we look to be crawling. We need to, if at all we are walking, we need to run. How long and what is causing this? Because the allocation of our resources where production matters, to the best of my understanding, Professor, I am here for correction, where I need to be.
Yeah.
We should be able to put where production can cause things change.
You know, there are two things which are huge opportunities, but equally huge threats to our country.
Threats and opportunities.
Oil is potentially a huge opportunity. If we recognize that when we get oil money, we'll put it where it will help quickly transform our people. I told you Malaysia produces about 200,000 barrels of oil per day, but they don't export any. They refuse.
They don't export.
No.
But for us, the problem, as you go on, for Professor, the policy is that we are looking at these oil petroleum companies to come, and then for them they export for us.
The sad thing about, I was chairman of the actually technical working committee on oil and gas. Because the country doesn't know that more than 60% of the known oil reserves of Uganda is actually in Acholi.
Is it Acholi?
Yes.
It's taken to be in Hoima.
No.
This is very serious, sir.
Here, it is not true. It is in Acholi.
Acholi.
Yes, Kingfisher will supply the refinery in Hoima for 5 years. After that, all, according to the Foster Wheeler studies, the oil that will be refined in the refinery will come from 2 oil fields, Jobi East and Jobi. Jobi is Buffalo.
That's in Acholi.
Yes, and they are in the national park in Acholi, north of Para. The most accessible oil deposit in Uganda is Liech, which is elephant.
Liech?
Yes. Liech is only 490 meters below ground. The Kingfisher in the lake, you do 2-point-something kilometers before you get oil. So there's a huge difference. But that is not my point.
Yes, sir.
My point is that I have been to Nigeria. I was in Nigeria for the elections. If you go there, you would see the damage that oil did to Nigeria. The rural population got decimated. The Nigerian agriculture that we used to study in geography all collapsed. Until now, they were importing, can you imagine? They were importing milk. They were literally importing everything. Until in one state when I was there, they brought whites to grow cassava for Garib. And that guy was given 2,000 square miles of land? And what comes out of his place are trucks of finished product for Nigerians to feed on. Another one was given an opportunity and the resources to do dairy. But that is very costly. If we don't use the opportunity in oil to concurrently invest in agriculture and transform our productivity, oil will suck away rural people from the villages to towns. Oil will suck away all the money from the villages, and agriculture will collapse. And think of us importing food through Kenya or Tanzania.
Because in Tanzania we are importing rice. Our businessmen, they are going to Tanzania. And I could be happy if they were going to Agago to get the best rice.
Exactly.
Yes.
So that is the one thing which is both an opportunity and a threat. The other one is climate change. Climate change will have a big impact on many countries in Africa. Uganda is so blessed with very stable climate. Uganda is so blessed with very good soil. Uganda is so blessed with huge water bodies which we can use to do high-level irrigation and export agricultural produce all over the region. But it will remain that unless we invest in agriculture.
Investing in agriculture, dear viewers, is a major point. And making a deliberate move, I'm building on the point of Professor for us, you dear viewers. We must make a deliberate move to know what we can do best and utilizing the available opportunities. But again, ready to overcome the obvious challenges. To have banks in Uganda which are commercial. They cannot, commercial banks, I can mention some which you know, others you already know. They do affect very much of our investors not to invest in agriculture. While we are drawing towards the closure of our program, there are 2 points, dear Professor and viewers, which they may be interested to listen to, on the challenge that affects the investment, our national resources. I'm always encouraged by the report, which is always given from the Ministry of Finance and the statement of the President applauding the government that our resource base, especially for revenue collection, is no longer 5 billion. It always refers to over how many billions, especially, the way how we found the economy and where it is. But again, I have a challenge, Professor, as a senior politician of this country. We look at the public expenditure scenario which affects investment. Right now, as my fellow citizens are crying over the skyrocketing of prices, some of our ministers, some of our members of parliament, I'm not against them, but this is the reality. They may not easily know exactly what the common person is suffering from. And the kind of, you talked about governments like Malaysia, Singapore, and again go back to the National Development Plan and Vision 40. I was also in Parliament, especially as a technocrat, and we were reviewing as policy analysts exactly what the government had intended to do with the National Development Plan 2 and 3. Part of it was looking at how there should be deliberate move to reduce on the expenditure burden. Both to this, you talk about the State House, you talk about the Parliament, you talk about this creation of the new districts, because that's one of the reasons that is leading to much more public expenditure. Yeah. And we seem to be comfortable with it, and the citizens, it is believed that they demand to create more constituencies. Yeah. Yet, the demand of these citizens, to me, as I make also a contribution, Professor, please, I will need to hear you about this, would have been to demand maybe for how best they can invest in so and so farmer and maybe get tractors, maybe have cooperative. What is your take on that, Professor?
You see, when I was doing my master's in the University of Nairobi in the 1970s.
You have your 3 minutes, Professor.
Yeah.
Conclude, yes,
Kenyan banks began to computerize. And President Daniel Arap Moi said, the computers will take away jobs from people. Now you are saying you are taking services nearer to the people. I can sit here and converse with somebody in China. Mm-hmm. I can sit here and order my things from Europe.
Yes.
In other words, the physical space has been eliminated by information and communication technology. Mm-hmm. You are still having parishes and sub-counties and counties and districts. For me, I would say, and you could do it politically and say, the districts that have decided that they will come together and form one big district, we will not take away their money. But the money they will save from public administration, they are free to invest. You will see how many districts will come back together.
They will come back together?
Yes, because then they can use the money well. Secondly, from now onwards, we are not going to elect people based on votes. We are going to elect representatives of interest groups. Let the civil servants vote their representative in the district council. Let the traders vote their representative in the district council. Let the farmers vote their representatives in the district council. Now you have LC1s there, or LC3s. Some of them, like my LC3 in my town council says, oh yeah, they blame me for drinking. The drunkards will vote for me.
The drunkards will vote. They have gone into
You can
groups.
imagine the pain that some of us suffer.
That's true.
But if it was like, okay, it is representative of farmers, a non-farmer will not contest in that position. And when the farmer goes to council, he will fight for the interest of farmers.
Honorable, don't you think there is a great idea as we are concluding our program? There is something that we must change. And if you're having farmers who are supporting, I also add my voice on yours and maybe we'll be part of them to have an advocacy for that. Yeah. Some societies not looking at either fighting the government, that one is not part of us in our discussion, but some societies have come up with deliberate groups to jeer or to guide what they want. And to the best of my knowledge, Professor, some have come up, some countries, revolutionary countries who have turned around their communities, they say this is a farmers' movement, not as a political party, but for purposes of turning around the economic and social opportunities.
Exactly, but that is why I'm saying once you shift representation from politics, then parties don't count. the best farmer, the guy whom the farmers respect most, will be elected. And then the amount of time we spend politicking in this country is sickening. That is why in the last parliament, people hardly saw me in that house.
Yes.
Because I would sit there and even ask myself, what am I doing here? Because it is frustrating. For some of us who want to see this country's potential and see what can be if we do things right, it is extremely frustrating.
But now, as we are concluding, Professor, there is another point which is very much important that I would like to leave with us, maybe as you make your last word.
Yeah.
First of all, to the viewers, the matter of inflation or poverty does not have any color, doesn't have any political party. When we are suffering, most of us are suffering. But what I am able to recall and share with you is that when there tends to be class differences in terms of inequalities, those who are not earning much tend to suffer, yet those who maybe who are enjoying cake and bread may not suffer, like the common person, the subsistence-based population, which is at 64. And my passion with you, Professor, I know, like where you are a leader of opposition, a member of parliament, we always have too much demands in our community because of their level of income and earning. And now, as we come towards the closure of this program, the government is expected to know where there have been pitfalls. The people also who are lazy, they are also supposed to be awakened to know that they should go for farming. They don't leave their land which is not cultivated. I'm learning from your submission, sir.
Yeah.
And the model which we have seen in other countries adopting, we shouldn't spend much more time, especially policymakers in the parliament, in matters of the land rule. And again, also to the government, as we are concluding, to the government should also be able to allocate resources and implement policies, bring policies that are realistic. You don't give me a commercial bank from South Africa, another one from maybe which is based in UK, Europe, and you are saying that's the one which is to help us be part of the production chain. Professor, what did you not do when you were completing your term of office? I pray that if it was possible, you are interested, you go back. Maybe you come back in any other way. But even in the midst of that, what you're doing is great for us. What did you didn't do that maybe can be done through your advocacy that you leave to the government and the population to say it is time to say this is the way to go and we take up a new dimension of growth?
For me, you can see how I look. I look very relaxed. Because there's nothing that I tell myself I should have done that I haven't done.
Yes, sir.
I've heeded the call of President Museveni. He sent me to Malaysia. He sent me to China. I have written in the papers online.
Yes, I've been reading, following your articles.
On everything.
Yes, sir.
When I was leader of opposition, if the president, once the president makes the State of the Nation address, I will break it down to levels that sometimes you would even get shocked. And some of them it took, like the UPE, and then I can tell Ugandans that each time that I felt it was important, I would write and send a brief to the president on matters of national importance. Because for me, that is what I am. I am a man, a person of brain. I'm not a person of sentiments.
You are not seeking for opportunities. You are not seeking for another ministerial job.
And if you ask the president, he will tell you, yes, LATIGO supported me on Amuru Sugar.
Yes.
LATIGO supported me on this. He sent me a brief on this. I do it because beyond politics, our country must come first. Our people must come first. And when the poor person in the village is not uplifted, we all pay the price. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We are blessed that we have had this program. And as we conclude, Professor, we hope next time you will take us to Agago.
Yes.
We want to enjoy the farming of rice.
Yeah. And yeah.
And also we want to enjoy the kind of model farming. Model farming, especially model farmers in Agago and elsewhere in the country, there have been a challenge of the rise of sugar, the sugar cane. Sugar cane here, prices, especially the raw prices, not the rice, but the raw prices. And we hope next time when we get a documentary, which is aiming to see how best we can improve this agriculture and boost our economy, will do better to us.
I'll be available.
We will also be interested, Professor. I'm making an appeal through you, sir, if you allow me. I don't want to ask you a lot because we've done already a lot.
Okay.
In the sub-regions and maybe some organizations, basically Smart TV, will always be available for you to take us through more exposition on how we can improve our state of agriculture in this country. Dear viewers, I would like to just give an opportunity for Professor to say the last word, and we shall close our program. Thank you.
Well, Joseph, I can only thank you for hosting me on this program. I thank those who took time to listen to us and to watch us. And my appeal is that government should listen to everybody because we all mean well for this country. And finally, I wish everybody well. For the farmers, you know that climate change is real. So be very watchful of weather projections. Prepare your crop fields early. Plant when the outlook is good. And follow the recommendations that give you maximum output from your crops. In that way, you will have resources to develop yourself and to develop the country, and the outcome of what we do will help to develop our country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor, for coming, for honoring our invitation. And those who are watching Smart Television, this is a television platform, especially our program, The Point, where we are yearning to make our country better, not bitter. We are not for lamentations, but we are again advocating, especially to those who can play a role to have a change of the dynamics. Those who are in the city, you can also do urban farming. Those who are in the rural community, you can change the method of agriculture. The policy implementers adopt, please, some of these non-partisan policy initiatives with a very well analyzed point of view from a comparative study which has been made. We believe if we can take a step from time to time and we change the way we've been doing things and we do them better, our country is going to change. In education, Professor, those who are in universities, only to have a degree, to have a bachelor's degree, maybe a certificate and diploma, without remembering our economic base so that we all be in the production chain, it will not solve inflation. Inflation will not be solved by the Western community by borrowing loans. Professor, I believe I'm right. Inflation will be solved if we discover where we have gaps of production and also how we can save better and how we can also change the way we are doing things in terms of our fiscal policies. Then we can have a better country. This is the end of our program, dear viewers, and we hope to meet again in The Point. Again, when we will invite you, Professor, thank you that you promise to come again. We'll also be taking a route as far as to go to our model farmer, Professor LATIGO OGENGA Morris, and I always refer as my uncle and my mentor, and I continue also to try to share information with my fellow countrymen and the women to see how we can make it better.
Okay.
Thank you for viewing Smart TV channel 24, and you will be blessed again to have us again with Professor. Please, thank you. Have a good evening. Good evening, viewers. Good night. Thank you.
Smart 24, driving business.